Hi, and welcome. This is Diana Papilli with day, I believe it's 39 of 100. And I'm here to talk to you about where do we make our decisions? From what aspect? Is it the emotional aspect? Is it the physical aspect? The psychological or mental aspect? Or the spiritual aspect of ourselves? No, none of those places. I looked up this quote because I wanted to make sure I attributed it to the right person. And I came up with several names, but the oldest one, or the one where it seems like it came from, the earliest, was from Lao Tzu, where he said, "The longest distance in the world is from the head to the heart." We need to live in our heart as much as we can, as much as possible. And that's where we need to make our decisions. Because that's the place where, if we have aligned and balanced the four aspects of ourselves, then it's going to be easier to get into our heart. This is where we have our tie to our higher power. This is where we need to develop the virtues of love, wisdom, and power, and they need to be in balance. So life is a continuous balancing act, and we want to have equal balance with our four aspects, and we want to have equal balance in our heart. And as I said, this is where we find love, wisdom, and power lives in our heart as well. And if you think about that, we need to have equal portions and a balance of love, wisdom, and power, or we're not going to be any good. Wisdom without love or power is pretty much just, it's a book or it's a computer. Wisdom and power without love is quite dangerous. Love and wisdom is very nice, except it's not very effective if you don't have a certain amount of power to go with it. And we can look at all these different qualities and virtues and realize what would happen if we were out of balance with any of those. So when it comes to making decisions, you want to be in your heart. You want to tie into your higher power. You want to have balance in your four aspects, and you want to have balanced portions of love, wisdom, and power. It sounds like a lot, and it is, but it's a lot in the same way that describing baking a cake. I spent all day, the reason I'm late with my live video today is because I spent all day baking and decorating a cake for a friend of mine. It's her birthday today, and Tom and I went over to her place and had dinner with her. And so I made these modeling candy roses for her. It's modeling candy is similar to marzipan. It's soft and it's a good way to describe it. I've heard the Cake Boss describe it as either modeling clay or modeling chocolate. It's reasonably soft and pliable when it's like warm to your hand temperature. And when I make my roses, I don't make them through the frosting tips. I make them by hand. And so I spent all this time today baking this cake. Now, just describing the roses to you took a lot longer than making up the modeling candy, it seems like. Well, if I were to describe, okay, you get the flour and the sugar and the eggs and the butter and all that, and do all that, it's going to sound way more complicated than just actually baking a cake. So this is similar to this process of keeping things in balance. Just realize this: there are times, as I said before, where you're going to be out of balance in certain areas. If you're grieving and you're just suffering a big loss, you're going to be spending more time with your emotional aspect. Or it doesn't have to be grief either. It could be if you've just fallen in love, or if you're very happy about something, or just something is going that's so wonderful that you're just elated, then it definitely stands to reason that you're going to spend more time in your emotional body and your emotional aspect of yourself. If you are sick, then you're going to be spending more attention and focus and time with your physical aspect. Same thing if you're going to school or other areas, or if you're on a spiritual retreat or on some kind of a spiritual mission, then you're going to be spending more time with your spiritual aspect. So there are times when it's natural to give more attention to one of the aspects over the other. But in the long run, you want it all to balance out fairly equally. So we make our decisions in our heart. That's where we want to live. If we come from the heart, rarely will we do anything wrong. Seriously. As long as you're not, again, as long as you have a certain level of balance, then it won't be wrong. Your decisions won't be wrong. What you're doing won't be wrong. So remember, love, wisdom, and power is where you're living your heart, and that's where you're going to find those virtues. And when you align your 4 aspects of yourself, you're also going to find balance in your heart as well. That's where we make our decisions. Sounds a lot easier than it is, but it's not really that complicated. And hi, Mary, love to you too. I see you. I don't always see, I have to get down in the lower part of my glasses for my readers, and I don't always see who's on because I don't want to be distracted, but I happen to see you too, so glad to see you. Anyway, I hope this is helpful to you. If you ever have any questions or whatever, feel free to ask below in the comments, or if you have any comments, I'd love to hear from you. If you're watching this, I would love to know that you are. I'd like to know who's watching it and how many. I see how many views, but that doesn't really tell me who's watching. And, you know, I guess if some person watched it 5 times, it shows up as 5 views. So I imagine, I guess that's how that counter works. But anyway, it'd be great to know if you're there, and if you have any feedback, that'd be great to hear as well. Hi, Raquel, I see you're on as well. So have a great evening and talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.